Welcome in, everybody, to the Shecago podcast, the podcast where we talk about the Chicago Bears. I am Alexis Jade, and let's get into it. So, it is game day, and it is 11:13 a.m. I'm here with my coffee because it's still early for me, and we are previewing this Bears versus Colts game today. I know most people tuning in here are going to want to head out when it gets close to noon, so don't worry. I don't plan on going on for too long today because I also want to be able to catch the game when it starts, and I have to set up my streams and everything before the game, so don't worry. We are not going to go too long. We're not going to miss the beginning of the game. But welcome in. And hello to the first commenter. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good weekend. I hope everything's going well. And like I say, every podcast, every episode, because I am my own producer, if there's any sound issues, any tech issues, please let me know in the comments because I'm not able to tell unless someone lets me know. So I appreciate you guys. And if there's any issues, let me know. Now, going into the game preview, Bears versus Colts. Now, I wanted to actually put out a little temperature check on Twitter before going live, and I forgot to yesterday's when I wanted to do a poll and see how are people feeling about the Bears games today. Are we feeling nervous? Are we feeling excited? What's our status here? How are we feeling after everything going into this game? Obviously, the Bears are coming off of a loss to the Texans. Now, it's hard because, like I said in my post-game podcast after that loss, on one hand, it's disappointing seeing how rough the offense looks. On the other hand, it's pretty encouraging seeing how we were it was a competitive game, low scoring. We held a Super Bowl contending team to limited points. And if our offense, could have just actually done something, just like one thing, we would have come away with a win, which I think is pretty impressive. So obviously there's a lot of question marks, a lot of negativity around the Bears, which we're kind of used to. However, there's also a lot of upside. This defense is very good, and the sky's the limit. If this offense can get clicking, and unfortunately, kind of with the theme of the title of the last podcast, Tale as Old as Time, is that kind of seems to be the theme for us Bears fans. Our defense can get it done and our offense can't. However, we have the playmakers to do it. It's just got to all come together. So if this offense can do that at some point throughout this season, we could be a pretty damn competitive team. So all that being said, let's look at our matchup here. Where is my stuff? Okay, look at our matchup here between the Bears versus the Colts. Obviously, we have a Caleb Williams-led Chicago Bears and a Anthony Richardson-led Indianapolis Colts. Now, both in a way rookie quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson is going into his second season, but considering he was so raw coming into the NFL to begin with, and then getting injured his rookie season, he really hasn't played that much. So he's entering his second year. He's no longer technically a rookie. However, he is still a very, very raw quarterback going against a team led by a true rookie quarterback who's had 2 NFL games in his entire career. So both players that have immense talent. Anthony Richardson is very, very talented himself. I think he has all the physical gifts and tools to be a quarterback in the NFL. But it's, can he put it together? Can he become an efficient passer? Kind of the questions a lot of Bears fans had about Justin Fields when he was here. So it's an interesting matchup. I talked about it a little bit last week towards the end of the last podcast that this week is weird because the Colts played the Texans in week 1 and had a close game where the Colts almost came away with the win, who obviously we just finished playing the Texans. And then the Colts played the Packers and the Packers annihilated them. And that's with a backup quarterback in, and all they did was run the ball. They had like 200 yards on the Colts in the first half of the game, which is insane. So it's interesting to see, like what we're heading into this week, what the matchup is going to be. And I will say this Bears defense, I don't have too many concerns about, but I think on the both sides of the ball, it's going to be the offense that's the question mark of can the offenses get it done for both sides of the both teams. Um, so it's a very interesting matchup, and the Colts is a team that I think a lot of Bears fans and media and everyone else had kind of circled on their calendar as a win, but also could be a surprise loss because they're a team where when they get it together, they could be pretty good. They were competitive against the Texans in week one, however, got their socks knocked off in week two against the Packers. So this week is going to be interesting to see. I don't know if we're going to have the same success the Packers had running the football against them. But if there's ever a game to get our run game finally effing working, it would be this game. So it's going to be interesting. Now, to get into, before I get into the concerns here, I want to respond to just some comments here quickly. FC, glad to see you back. Thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. And concerned about the O-line for sure. Same, but I do want to touch on that a little bit here. I think I'll go over it more detail after the concerns segment here, but it's not just the O-line. It's the offense as a whole, and I know you probably know that, but like in a bit here, I kind of want to dive a little bit more into that and why, the O-line definitely didn't perform well, but there's a lot of pieces on offense that are not doing well, that there are mistakes being made by the quarterback or running backs that make it appear to be an O-line issue when it's not. So Bears have a lot to figure out on offense, and hopefully they start to do that this week, this game today. But let's get in to some of my key concerns for this Bears versus Colts game. Now, the concerns going into this game when it comes to facing the Indianapolis Colts for me would be Anthony Richardson. He is kind of a big question mark. When I have here is arm/run, I don't view him as a dynamic threat. I think he's less of a passing threat than Justin Fields was. And even though he has insane legs and he has a cannon for an arm, he hasn't really proven that if you limit him to passing, that he can really efficiently do that. And I hope today's not the game where he does. So I think the concern here of the way the Colts can like sneak a fast one on us would be the Colts taking advantage of the deep passing game and having a good deep passing attack and establishing the run game using Anthony Richardson. They really have not used Anthony Richardson a lot lately in the run game, I think because they're a little bit scared of him getting hurt again. Obviously last season, and then he got hit pretty good on his shoulder again in week one. So I think they're very hesitant to use him in the run game right now. They want him to stay healthy through the season. So if they decide today's game is the game they're going to utilize Anthony Richardson run game, he is going to be hard to stop. Like if they start incorporating that, he is a big dude. He is a big quarterback. And if we don't know if they're running the ball or Anthony Richardson is running, if it's designed runs, it can get a little messy for this Bears defense. I could see some points or at least a score being given up before the Bears defense makes adjustments. I will say, for as much as people want to, complain about Flus, I will say the one thing he is great at is calling the defense and making adjustments. So I'm not too concerned that they would find a way to make adjustments, but that could give way to a score or two if they utilize Anthony Richardson in the run game. Now, when it comes to that, that's kind of where I say the run pass is if they're able to do both, use Anthony Richardson in the run game and utilize the deep passing downfield, it will stretch the defense then and make it a little more difficult on us. However, the Bears defense is pretty damn good. This Bears defense is really good, and I really think that it can play into our advantage, but we will get there when we get into our keys to victory here in a bit. But I do think if they were to do that, that could be a cause for concern for this Bears team. Now, Colts run game versus their passing game. So, kind of tying into the Anthony Richardson threat possibility is if the Colts can establish their run game. And the reason I said run/pass is because if you notice, like I said, they're hesitant right now to use Anthony Richardson in the run game, and especially on designed runs. And their passing game, so in week 2 versus the Packers, I think they got a little excited seeing that deep pass from Anthony Richardson, which was incredible. It was like a 66-yard throw on one foot down the field. It was crazy. But I think they got a little excited about seeing him make that deep connection. And in week 2, I don't know what his stats were exactly, but they were pretty much a strictly passing offense last week, and it did not work well. Anthony Richardson threw 3 picks, and the Packers came away with the win and just walked all over them. So this is where I put in my concern, because obviously that didn't work. If they go into this week with that same plan of action, I think we are going to be just fine. But if they make adjustments going into this game and decide to incorporate the Anthony Richardson run game a little bit more, and they utilize their own running back run game a little bit more and rely less on Anthony Richardson's arm, that could make a bit of a different game than what the Packers had to face going against them this week, or this past week. So I do think that the cause for concern here when it comes to Colts run versus pass game is if they go into this week with the same playbook that and scheme that they went into with the Packers, will be good. If they make adjustments and incorporate more of the run game, it could make it a little bit closer of a game than we might like. I still think our defense could have it under control, but I don't think it'll be a walk in the park like it was for the Packers. And finally, can they stop the run? And they being the Colts. Can the Colts stop the Bears' run game? As we know, the Bears have yet to establish the run game. We made the big acquisition of an offseason of getting DeAndre Swift. We've barely seen Khalil Herbert. We've barely seen Roschon Johnson. Travis Homer went to IR. So hopefully that finally gives more touches to Johnson and Herbert, which I'm not sure why Homer was getting touches over them to begin with, but I don't make the rules. So this is going to be the get right game for the Bears offense, but also for the Bears running game. So if the Colts find a way to stop this Bears running scheme, running plan, running game, whatever you want to call it, it's going to put the offense in a tricky situation again for the Bears. Now, like I said to start the podcast, the Packers ran over 200 yards in the first half against this Colts team. They did make some adjustments in the second half, but, so I do expect them to make a few more adjustments going into this week. But can they actually stop the Bears running team? It's so hard to say because we have yet to see the Bears running offense actually do anything. But if they can, I think we're once again going to have some difficulties on offense, getting the passing game established, getting Caleb Williams comfortable. We're going to have some issues with the offensive line if this run game can't get going. So a key concern here would just be if the Colts are able to make an adjustment from the Packers to now and get contain of the run and prevent us from running all over them, it could be a problem. Now for the Bears, I think honestly, we don't need to have 200 yards in the first half. That would be great, but we just need to get some consistency in the run game. If we can get, like 50, 100 yards in the first half, that would be an improvement from the first 2 weeks. So I would like to see some of that. I'm curious if Velus Jones Jr. is going to be in. I'm sure there's updates actually from the Bears coming in now on who's active and who's inactive. I have not actually looked. Looks like Velus Jones Jr. is out there warming up. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see. They might utilize him in the passing game or in the running game because that could be another dynamic person to add to this offense for this game. So key concern is if the Colts make adjustments, stop the run game. We might be in another pickle on offense. I see some people saying hi, so let me hop in here. Rome, Kudadag. How are you? I don't know how are you in German, just in Dutch, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good Abend. I hope you're doing well. And go Bears, even though I know you like the Ravens. Good game for Herbert and Johnson to get going. Exactly. That's what I'm hoping. I think most of us are hoping, is that this is finally the game that Khalil Herbert and Rashawn Johnson and DeAndre Swift get moving. Maybe this is the time where we finally see the three-headed monster in the backfield that we were hyping up to be. So now going into the Bears' keys to victory. This is where it gets fun. Okay. Guys, I'm just a fan here. I'm no brainiac with your statistics. Wow, if I could say that word. I'm just a girl who loves the Bears and loves talking about it. So let's get into the fun part where we talk about the keys to victory for the Chicago Bears. How did the Bears win this game against the Indianapolis Colts? In my opinion, Caleb Williams' improvement. Look, we love our boy Caleb Williams. He's had a rough 2 games to start the NFL. He has yet to get his first NFL touchdown pass. And I meant to do a slide for bold predictions, and it didn't save to my computer. So I'll just give it away now. My bold prediction, which honestly is kind of sad and it shouldn't be bold because it's got to happen at some point. But today, Caleb Williams gets his first NFL touchdown as the Chicago Bears quarterback. And I also think, for another bold prediction, while we're doing them, TJ Edwards gets an interception today against Anthony Richardson. Those are my 2 bold predictions. Offense, defense, bold predictions right there. Now, going back to the point, key to victory, Caleb Williams needs to improve. Now, last week wasn't a good outing by any means. However, you did see the improvement from week 1 to week 2 with Caleb. It wasn't completely linear. When we got to like the 3rd, 4th quarter, it kind of fell apart. However, he looked pretty good the first quarter, obviously minus not the offense really struggling to move the ball down the field, but like he was quick, he was decisive, he was making the correct decisions, it seemed, at the line of scrimmage and pre and post snap. So you definitely saw the improvement, and he was playing from within the pocket the entire game. So in terms of improvement, you just hope to continue to see it. Obviously, I'm not going to lie, I hope we see a little bit of a jump today. I don't want to just see a little bit improvement. I'll take it. I'll be happy with it. But I don't want to see like, oh, yeah, he's a little more comfortable. He's doing a little better. Like, no, I want to see him have some solid yardage through the air. I want to see like a 200 at least passing yard game. I want to see a touchdown. If he has some rushing yards, cool. I want to see him dispersing the ball. Like, I want to see a little bit more of an established offense. And that starts with the quarterback, Caleb Williams. So I do think he will continue to improve. I think this offense needs time to gel. They clearly do. There's the issues on this team, which I said I was going to get into. So I guess I'll bring it up now, is even though the offensive line looked really bad this past game, there were some moments that it really came down to it not really being the offensive line's fault. There was some plays that had the quarterback made the correct decision or had the running back stuck to what the play call was, the way the offensive line was blocking would have made a lot more sense. Now, that's not to take away from the fact that the offensive line performed very poorly. They did. But there was a lot of pieces that were not going well. And it starts at the quarterback. And he's a rookie. He's learning. He's seeing a lot of things he's never seen before. It's going to take time. But that also comes down to the receivers. You know, there was drop touchdown passes, people not winning their routes. Comes down to the running backs making the correct moves in the behind the offensive line to break away, finding the right pockets to go through. So it's a cumulative thing on this offensive team to get the ball moving. So that being said, I think it's more than just Caleb, and it's more than just this offensive line that needs improvement. It's this offense as a whole, with a new play caller, a new scheme for most of these players, it's going to take time. It's going to take time to gel. It's going to be a while. This is why I said way back when that my prediction was always it's going to be rocky. We're going to hit the bye week, and we're going to see a different offense come the bye week. I hope that prediction stands, but I do think so. I think we're going through some trial and error right now and people getting used to the system, and we're going to see a more efficient and improved offense coming out of this bye. You can clip that, and let's hope that happens. But today, in week 3, it comes down to Caleb. Once again, I said last week he was kind of our X factor, because if he starts cooking, who knows what the score is going to be. But if he struggles again, it could be another slow, messy game. So Caleb Williams is still our X factor, not in the sense of he is a talent, but he hasn't proved that yet in the NFL. More so, and we just don't know. We don't know. As Bears fans, the opposing team doesn't know. They don't have tape on him doing what he does well yet. So whoever the team is that we play that gets Caleb Williams' first good game are going to struggle to make adjustments, because they don't have tape on him to see what this offense does well yet. So if the Colts game is the game where the offense starts cooking, it can probably get the game can get out of hand quickly for the other team. Now, I do think Caleb has a good chance for this to be his little breakout game. I'm not going to hold that expectation. However, I am going to hold the expectation of just seeing improvement from the quarterback. Another key to a Bears victory today is defensive takeaways. We've already seen that this defense is legit. We've already seen that they can take the ball away. They already have in the first 2 games of the season. That needs to continue today. Anthony Richardson threw 3 picks last week against the Packers. I'm not necessarily expecting that, but I do think if the defense can contain the run, which so far we've been able to do quite well. Andrew Billings is a beast. Javon Dexter is performing really well. If the Bears are able to continue to contain the run and ideally contain Anthony Richardson, do not let him scramble. Do not let his designed runs work. Don't let him move the pocket. Maybe let him pick up a few yards, be a little bit of a bend, don't break defense, but make him have to throw. Make the coordinator for the Colts feel like, to prevent Anthony Richardson from getting hurt, or, really that, to prevent him from getting hurt, or to make him feel like the run game's not really working, make them feel like they have to throw it. Make Anthony Richardson have to throw it from the pocket, and I think you're going to get some picks. And I think this is going to be, besides the Texans, the most talented defense Anthony Richardson has gone up against. And honestly, I think the Bears secondary is much better. Well, maybe much is a stretch, but I think the Bears secondary is better than the Titans secondary. So if we force Anthony Richardson to do what he's not great at, it will play to the Bears defense strength, and we can come away with a few picks in this game. I genuinely believe that. We can get Anthony Richardson to make some questionable decisions and try to fit it in some windows that he thinks he can make it into. And then here comes Jalen Johnson. So I really think that so far, the way the Colts have played into the Bears defense strengths. And let's hope that continues this week. So key to victory, defensive takeaways. Defense, just stay consistent to what you've already been doing. You don't have to make any crazy adjustments. Just contain the run, contain Anthony Richardson, and make him throw the ball, and our Bears secondary will be there to make it happen. And our linebackers, to be honest. Now, for the Bears, an obvious key to victory, I feel here, establish the run. Establish the run. We have had no running game for the past 2 games. I was about to say week, but year, but it's only been 2 games. In a way, it feels longer than that. Establish the run. That's about as self-explanatory as you can get. I mean, this Bears team has not been able to get the run game going, and if we have any hope of this Bears offense starting to find its footing, any hope for Caleb Williams to start to get comfortable in the pocket and give him more time, get the offensive line in a rhythm, this run game has to go. Take the pressure off Caleb Williams' shoulders. He should not have thrown it as many times as he did last week. And I feel the Colts realize that for their team too, which is why I'm a bit concerned about the run game. But like I said, if we can contain it, we'll be okay. But the same goes here. If the Colts can contain our run game, it's going to be another low-scoring game. I want to see this offense take off, and the only way they're going to do that and score points is if we can get this run game going. So a key to victory has to be get the run game going. The Colts have the worst run-stopping defense in the NFL right now, at least the last time I checked. They're what were they averaging? Something over 100 yards per game. So 200 even, I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But either way, the Colts are not a good run-stop defense. So if we have any hope of getting this run game going, it is now. It is against this team who does not have a good run-stop defense. If we can't do it here, I don't know when we're going to do it. So take advantage of the defense we're playing against. Play on what the defense is giving you. And if they're giving you lanes to run, take it. Get this run game going. I'm sick of not seeing any run. I want a DeAndre Swift touchdown this game, rushing into the end zone. And finally, play calling I have on here. Now, I did say last week that I wasn't terribly upset by the play calling that the Bears called last week on offense. And I still kind of stand by that. Like I said, I think there's so many things from coaching down to players through all different levels, through all different position groups that are not clicking right now on offense, that it's really easy as a fan, as a Bears fan, to sit and just blame the offensive coordinator, blame the offensive line and be like, that's it. That's the problem. O-line and coordinator. And when you really sit and rewatch the game and you listen to what the coaches talk about in certain plays and the players talk about certain plays, it's very clear that it's on every single position group on every level deal. So when it comes to play calling, I want to see it improved in the sense of I want to see, besides what we just talked about, a better run game. I want to see more play action. Let Caleb move from the pocket, especially if the run game is working. Play off of that. Do some, reads. Do something where the pocket moves or it's a play action pass where they don't know if it's going to be a run or a pass. And allow Caleb to not have to rely on throwing it this game. We're going against the worst run stop team defense right now in the NFL. So take advantage of that and don't put all the weight on the rookie quarterback's shoulders to have to chuck it down the field to win us the game. Call a balanced offense. Rely on the run and then incorporate the passing as it comes. But don't rely on your rookie quarterback passing for 50 attempts in week 3 of the NFL. So that is what I mean more so when I say play calling. My coffee's getting cold. Real quick, just to check in on some comments here. Go Bears and Ravens. I'll allow it for you, Rome. Any thoughts on Nate Davis being benched for Matt Pryor? See, here's the thing. I don't know if he's necessarily benched. I know what you're talking about. I did read the article. I think it was Brad Biggs, right? That initially had it. But Nate Davis was listed as questionable going into this week with a groin re-aggravated injury. I will say I think it's very clear Matt Eberflus is kind of fed up with Nate Davis. I think he's ready to be done with the Nate Davis experiment. So I think Matt Eberflus is happy to have Matt Pryor starting. I don't know how I feel about it yet because we really haven't seen enough Matt Pryor to know if he's a better replacement. I know we're all pissed at Nate Davis, but when he's playing well, he's a pretty solid starting offensive lineman, as annoying as that sounds. But he hasn't been playing well the first week of the season, whether that's being unprepared, whether that's injury, I don't really know. But he hasn't looked great. And if the coaches think that Matt Pryor could come in and do the job, then great. The only thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see a bunch of offensive line scuffling, or shuffling, I guess I should say. Because that doesn't help the quarterback. That doesn't help a rookie quarterback when you have an offensive line constantly changing. That doesn't help the offensive line get continuity and chemistry when people are constantly being rotated out, which it's going to happen with injuries anyways. So the more solid you can make this O-line, the better. Yeah, I really just don't love shuffling the offensive line in general, but especially with a rookie quarterback. So if he's going to replace Nate Davis, then fine, but I don't want to see like a rotation. I don't want to see week after week we have new people trying different spots in the O-line. We need continuity. We need consistency. We need the offense to start to come together as a team and figure their shit out, and that's not going to happen when you have the O-line constantly changing. So I'm all right with it. I'm curious to see how Matt Pryor looks. And if he looks good, then keep him in there and don't keep changing the line around. Let Nate Davis be the backup. ATVS, Bears. That's right. Bear down. I can't see Pryor being any worse than Davis. One would hope. One would hope. Oh God, guys, we need more solid depth on our offensive line. We need more solid, not even depth, just players. We need better players on our offensive line. It's kind of ridiculous, but man, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out today because I think Matt Pryor is going to get majority of snaps. So we'll find out today. Fingers crossed. He will give better effort, that is for sure. I'm sure, because he's fighting for this roster spot, you know? So, I mean, technically so is Nate Davis now, but Rome, Packers defense is still rather meh, while the Bears defense has been awesome. There should be a pick or two at least. I agree. I definitely do not think the Bears or Packers defense is anywhere close to the same tier the Bears are on. I think they have a better play caller now than they did last year, but their talent on that side of the ball and everything else, it's like you said, it's meh so far. It's okay. And they haven't really gone against top talent yet this season. So we haven't even seen them have like a true test. And they go against the Titans today, which the Bears beat. So it's like, I don't know. We haven't really seen what the Packers can do yet. But that being said, I agree. I think the Bears should be able to get a pick or two at least. It's going to depend on if they plan on passing it as much as they did last week. I do think they're going to try to run it a little bit more to start the game. However, if the Bears can contain that and limit them, then we might see more of a passing game, and then we might see some multiple picks head our way, ideally, taken away by the Bears defense. So I agree with you, Rome. I think if there's any defense that has a good shot at doing it, it's the Bears. So it's going to depend on the Colts game plan. However, at the end of the day, Richardson is still a threat for the deep ball. But he does have accuracy issues, and he's not always great at making the right reads or the right decisions. So especially when under pressure. And his options are, and the defense knows what he's doing. If we limit the run game and we know they're dropping back to pass like 3 snaps in a row, chances are our Bears secondary is going to read that pretty well. So I agree. I think the Bears should come away with a few picks this game. Velus Jones Jr. is inactive for today. Is he now? Let me see. All right. Oh, yeah, here we go. Right here. Bears inactives. Velus Jones Jr., Kari Blasingame, Dominique Robinson, Keenan Allen, which we knew, same with Blasingame, Noah Sewell, and Zach Pickens. Also, Noah Sewell, when is he ever going to play? I really liked him when he first came to the Bears, but this dude is never healthy, like ever. And I don't know if he's just inactive now because we don't need him because we have our running backs and then we have Jack Sanborn. But he's had like a lot of injury issues the past 2 training camps and last season and stuff, but we'll see. Zach Pickens is injured, but Khalil Allen has the heel injury, which maybe we'll get into more in the post game and see how it goes without him in there. But the Bears wide receivers also need to play better. Speaking of Keenan Allen, you know, Rome Odunze's got to play better. He's a rookie too, but he's got to play better. DJ Moore has to play better. Keenan Allen needs to play. Like the wide receivers, for how much we talked up this talent we have, they haven't exactly lived up to the hype yet. So I would like to see that for sure. But it does look like we have our inactives. Also, Nate Davis officially removed from starting lineup. Now, once again, is that officially from injury? or because he's being benched. They could flip it however they want to, but Matt Pryor is starting. I gotta say I'm a little bummed that Velus Jones is benched because he does have such quick speed. I would like to see it utilized. However, we still have two other running backs we haven't used yet in Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert that I really want to see get involved in this running game. So I'm kind of okay with it. However, I really do think we could have an advantage with changing up pace between like a hard-nosed running back with a quick shifty one like Velus Jones. But, you know, obviously the coaches pick who's inactive for a reason. So we'll see. It looks like we have the Bears doing their little huddle here on offense. They're locked in. I love going through the tweets before the game starts because I like seeing all the players and everything. Bears starting O-line. A little update here. We have Braxton Jones, left tackle, left guard, Tevin Jenkins, center, Coleman Shelton, right guard, Matt Pryor, right tackle, Darnell Wright. So kind of what we already knew, but that is what it looks like right now, who is starting on the field right now practicing for the Bears starting lineup. Now, it is already 11:50, just about. So it's a bit of a shorter podcast today. However, I want to give everyone time to get out of here, get their TVs and streaming services and everything you need up, get your beer or whatever you're going to drink for today's game ready, get your apps ready. And I need to go get my computer in the other room plugged in so I can watch and live tweet this game. So I will be live tweeting. If you guys want to hang out with me for the game, I will be live tweeting the game as well. So I will let everyone go, and we will meet again post game today after this Bears game and discuss hopefully a Bears win. However, before we go, I have to give my score prediction. I didn't do that yet. My score prediction for today, I have the Bears winning 24-13. Maybe this is me being optimistic, but I think this is finally a game where the Bears offense can start to get a rhythm going, get the run game established, get the passing game established. And I have the Bears winning 24. Bears defense gets a few takeaways, stops the run, limits the Colts to 13 points. Bears win 24-13. Go Bears. That's my prediction. And now we will see if it comes true and comes to fruition after the game today. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend if I don't see you in the post-game live. And I hope I see you in my post-game live after a Bears win. So, as they say in a huddle, break, let's go, bear down, everybody.